Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Heartwell dev stream, the live stream series where I continue to develop this adorable Souls-like action RPG with platforming mechanics and a branching narrative. And if you find these dev streams interesting or helpful, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and boot that bell button to stay notified. Also, no problem, Rework. Thank you so much for the alert, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. Have fun playing Minecraft, Rework. Anyway, so for those of you who were wondering why tonight's dev stream might be a little bit shorter today, two reasons. One, we just beat Elden Ring, so I'm actually starting the dev stream on a Tuesday instead of a Thursday. The other reason is that this Thursday I'll be busy at an event IRL, so I won't be streaming this Thursday. However, next Tuesday we'll be starting Challenge Run of Trails of Cold Steel 2, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Oh, don't worry, we're not done yet, Tay Sparks. We're just getting started. And speaking of getting started on things, I've been doing I think I've been making very good progress with Heartwell off stream. So, what I've done off stream for Heartwell includes working on some music, which I'll actually getting some feedback for this week, from some people from a music class I'm taking IRL. So I'm really looking forward to hearing some feedback about that to become a better composer, because I would definitely say, in terms of like my game development experience, music composition is definitely my weakest area, and that's something I want to, of course, improve upon and also actively work towards for Heartwell, because obviously, it's advocated towards music will be extremely important to convey the kinds of emotions I need to tell my story in Heartwell. As well as, of course, you know, make the dungeons more fun to explore, make the boss fights more fun, you know, all that good stuff. But I'm also working. I also managed off stream to get the mapping done for the arena for one of the bosses that'll be in the demo. So all I'll say about that boss is it required me to make sure collision mapping was working properly, and that's up, and I've lined it all up, so that's there. I'm at the stage now where I need to just write out the pseudocode for the logic of how that boss's attack patterns will work and like what kind of variables I'll be using to keep track of that. So that'll all occur off stream, of course. I don't want to spoil you guys on bosses for the demo, though, as I've said before, after the demo's released, I'll be more willing to show bosses that I would consider not super major plot points in the after the demo's released. But that's subject for a different day. In terms of what we'll be working on stream today, we're going to try to pick up a little bit from where we left off by implementing our damage calculation rework concept. So, basic premise of this, at least for the Cobra, is that it should be difficult, if not impossible, to, under normal circumstances, with the current way the levels are designed, to damage more than one, I'd say more than a couple of Cobras at the same time, and that would depend on, like, getting extremely lucky with lining up different ranged attacks. So I will be trying to follow up with that. Oh, also, give me 1 second to chat something in chat. All right, we're all good. The new damage calculation concept. Check for what the enemy is taking damage from, melee attack or ranged attack. If the enemy's damage taken recently flat for the attack type or received. Treating an active object where the player's damage dealt. Okay, so this is just describing what I need to do. So let's start by giving ourselves a happy little active object to be our intermediate. I think that's what this is for. In terms of how we want to describe this, Okay, no worries, Copper Nicholson. No. Thanks for dropping by, I really appreciate it. You thought there would be a happy little tree. Wait, wait, hold on, TT Sports. What do you mean a happy little tree? Am I missing something here? Oh, you mean like when I was saying an active object? Is that what you were doing at TT Sports? No, the purpose of this object is just to store variables. Oh, it's a Bob Revs. Fair enough. Okay, now I get it. I did. Well, in a way, we will be making a happy little tree, and by that I mean we'll be making a happy little damage calculation object. But before we do that, I think it's important that we at least determine what variables we actually need to account for here. Now, I'm keenly aware that a lot of this is listed in the old code. It's more so that I want it listed here so that this is easier for us. So, let's see. Variables that need to be stored temporarily in the intermediate objects for damage calculations. Now, you might be saying, Thomas, why are you bothering to write this out? This will make it a lot easier to organize, but because it will tell me how many multiple variables I'm actually going to be storing temporarily in this active object, and that'll help with a little bit later with the code. So we'll organize this into two categories. Yeah, let's make a table for this. This will be easier. Table. Okay. Just trying to have a happy little table that we will use to organize our different things. So we'll have needs to be in intermediate objects, can be referenced independently. Or, to put it in simpler terms, dynamic variable and static variable. Reason for this, chat? There's some information that might not change at all. Like, for example, an enemy's... I feel like with the enemy's resistances, the way we've programmed this, it's more dependent on their build-up, right? Where do I put my fault line build-up? Oh, yeah. So it's the enemy fault line build-up. So basically... Alright, Copper Nicholson, have a good night. The music's a bit loud. Give me 1 second to adjust that, chat. Anyway. There we go. Let's just make a bunch of roasts. I'm not quite sure how many we'll need yet. But one thing we can reference independently based off the way the code is currently structured is resistances is damage, enemy damage resistances. Reason being, all the Cobras will have the same damage resistance, so there's no need to mess around with that. Especially considering with fault line, that's just one variable that needs to be adjusted. However, that does mean we do need fault line buildup. As one of the variables. I will need to double check if there's... Alright, what's burn buildup do? I know we wrote this down. Alright, burn. No, that's the old one. Okay. Ah, that's what changed. The enemy damage dealt to player. Okay, so we do still need burn buildup, but that's actually not relevant for enemy damage calculations on our end. It's only relevant when the enemy is trying to damage the player. So I think the information will still need to be stored. Unless... Yeah, no, I think they all still need to be stored. But I'll put that as an asterisk, because I'm not... So, burn buildup and frostbite buildup. We'll need that. And let's just put these in order. Yes, why not? Alright, your best friend had this idea since you're in elementary school. Whose name was fit to it. We ended up changing the name. Heroes are the good guys, while evil ones can never anymore. The one thing they all have in common is having a special power that's individual and unique. Oh, that's cool. Do tell, take this. Parts do tell. I'm interested in hearing more about this idea. We will also need... Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll need that because it's going to affect the critical hit. Wait. Please tell me I accounted for critical hits. Okay, that's their... Okay, yes, okay, so we did account for critical. I just want to check that. That's very important. So yeah, we'll need a surge build-up. I think it's still headwind. And of course, Riptide build-up. So, we have those build-ups. Other things we will need. Damage bonus. Round up, pistol damage dealt. Okay. We're going to need damage dealt for different damage types. So, physical damage dealt. fire damage dealt. Unless... How do we calculate these? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. That's what I'm gonna do. We might be able to just make it so that one variable is just like a place where we throw all the other variables. And like just constantly add them into it. Like with a calculator, if you add like, you know, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. It all goes into one slot. That could work. Alright, so what I will say is... We'll need a total melee damage dealt. And a total range damage dealt. You have dual flame powers while we're unsure about line for everyone. We're working to make even each of my character have something unique to them. Cool, okay, as far as cool. Well, best wishes with developing that. Okay, so we have that. Then... yeah. Is critical hit we can use as just a flag, so that's good. Melee damage bonus. So we have a melee and a range damage bonus, so those will definitely need to be a thing. I think we'll do is critical hit. Oh, it was... Ah, the idea came before My Hero Academia. Okay. Also using somebody else's magic tool. Oh, interesting. Okay, blending kind of the superhero thing with like magical stuff. Cool. Alright, so we have that. Okay. I think is critical hit melee and is critical hit range will have to be flags. We have that build up, critical hit check, critical hit bonus, so that's a player thing, we can just reference that. Mats and any damage resistances. Okay. Well, knowing this idea, this could be simply one. then sets this value to 0 after it has been transferred. Okay. We have all this damage dealt. That's all well and good. Dealt by player's range damage. Yep. Okay, I think those are the main things. So, can be referenced in the penalties, all enemy damage resistances, enemy burn percent damage, enemy frostbite damage, so that's all static. Oh, magical crystal lotuses to choose a second power. That sounds very, very exclusive, KK Sparks. I mean that in a good way. It sounds like it's like, oh, well, they have a second power. That means they're like super powerful. Kind of like how there are like, you know, 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star Goku uniforms in Kill la Kill. That's kind of reminds me of that in a sense. Like you'll have people with more powers that could make them potentially stronger, as they will say. Yeah, all enemy damage resistances, that's independent. Stat damage over time. Or, sorry, enemy burn damage, enemy frostbite damage, so that's all stuff that's just static. Okay, so we have that. We need all player stats, player damage stats are special, since again with the player there's only one of them, so it doesn't matter how complicated that gets, we only have to reference it once. We don't have multiple players or anything like that. So if it chooses the other word, they have to have a second power. I see. Okay. Well, that's interesting, KJ Sparks. I feel like there's bound to be conflict over that in the story, right? Like, oh well, why do you deserve the second power? That kind of thing, right? Yeah. Wait. That's the absolute code. Never mind. Excellent, KJ Sparks. Excellent. Alright, so I think, chat, we've kind of organized the key players here, and by that I mean the important stats here. So these are the ones we're going to primarily focus on. As far as I can tell, we have... I'm not going to include the flags because the flags get their own separate little queue, so that can be fine. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so there's 10 like dynamic variables, and that's good. Yeah, I say, why does 10 matter? Because with the power of indexing, it is theoretically possible to make it so that we could have 3 different damage calculations occurring at the same time. But that's kind of getting into more of like the advanced side of the programming things. The main goal we're trying to see is, can we get this to work independently on like a 1-by-1 basis? If we can, then we can work on how to adjust it for like a 2-by-2 situation, or like a 3-by-3. I mean, what I mean by that is like the very rare probability that a player happens to hit 2 or even 3 copers at the exact same time. I say that's a rare probability because the way I designed the levels in this dungeon for Heartwell is that there's very, very rarely ever more than 1 Cobra in a room, and when there is, there's like maybe It'd be 2, or I think there might have been one with 3, but like the point is there's very rarely multiple Cobras in the same room. And if they're not in the same room, it's extremely unlikely that a player could wind up hitting projectiles on multiple of them at the same time. That's very unlikely to happen. Not impossible, but just unlikely. I'd rather try to avoid the situation where, like, a player throws a projectile, multiple projectiles, different colors, and just because they happen to hit at or near the same time, they don't, one of them doesn't count. That would be wrong. So that is something on my mind, but first we'll focus on just focusing on one Cobra and go from there. All right. So we'll call this alterable value. I think it'll be best to start with this stuff at the top, since this is what we're adding into, and the other stuff can be at the bottom. Total melee damage dealt. Total ranged damage dealt. And we'll have melee damage bonus and range damage bonus. Yep. And now for all the build-ups. So we have burn build-up. Fault line build-up. Surge build-up. Build-up. Riptide build-up. And Frostbite. Okay, we'll default these to 0. We also have is critical hit melee. I forgot about that. Okay. Okay. Our variable set up. Our equation theories. And I think it's gonna be time to put these into practice, but I do need to take a quick break, chat, so don't worry, guys. I will be right back. All right, chat. Welcome back, everybody. So now, like I was saying earlier, now we have our variables defined, we got our object defined, time to end programming. Okay. All right, we'll start with melee. Alright, so at least the way these lines currently work, these lines are necessary to actually do set off the damage taken calcs. So if we deactivate them, that means Cobras will not be able to take damage. At least I think that's how that works. So I'll just deactivate these for a second. Go run over to our Cobra testing area. Alright, so I throw my... Okay, nothing happened. Good. That's actually what we wanted. We wanted to make sure... Well, that's not what we wanted to happen. But, it is... It's showing that right now there's no damage calculations occurring whatsoever, which is good, because we're going to be adding that. So I'll make a little note here. So, control enter that. Those lines are deactivated. In order to test the calculation rework. And if needed. All right. I think the first thing we ought to do is we can use the premise of the original line as a guidebook, but it shouldn't be the end-all be-all. So, start with melee, since it's easy to test. Okay. Okay, what do I have for our logic here? Oh. No, enemies damage taken recently applied. Okay, so that's unique to the enemy. Okay, we actually do need a flag for a damage calculation being performed. Okie doke. So, for each loop of these, collision between, yep. I double check something in the triple. Okay, it is like that, just making sure. Okay, I think what we do. I think we should keep that, but everything else should be kind of deleted as we adjust things. I actually think this value follows the current rework. Yo, Frado Prince, thanks for dropping by. And thank you for the raid, bud. Long time no see, how you been? Welcome to the dev stream, everybody. So right now, we're in the midst of doing some programming for Heartwell, our adorable action RPG that we're working on. We're trying to make these Cobra enemies take damage properly. So right now, we've actually disabled collision, nothing's happening. But we will be making it so that they take damage properly, or at least that's the hope anyway. That's what we're working on right now, is a little rework to our damage calculation process. Let's stream, big stream hours, streaming it, yep. So what have you been up to, Frado Prince? It's been a while. I mean, we just beat Elden Ring with only using a bow tonight. Like, we literally just beat it. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun with Elden Ring, and I'm super excited to move on to our next challenge run game on next Tuesday, which will be Trails of Cold Steel 2. So we'll be continuing Laundry Percent, or basically, we play through the Trails of Cold Steel game without any equipment upgrades, and it's on the hardest difficulty. It should be a fun challenge. Especially since I've never played the game before, so I have no idea what's going to happen. Anyway, that's what I've been up to, Frado Prince. How have you been? Okay, now we need to input our new calculations. So we're saying that the critical hit to that. Which I think is the correct, I'm going to double check the critical hit calculation, so this is obviously a very important calculation. That's 24 to, okay, so that's the player's critical hit threshold. Oh, I'm going to an event in real life Copper-Nicholson, so I'll be busy during that time, so I won't be able to stream that night. So, plus the surge buildup. Okay, I think that's the correct equation. Alright, floor, random, critical hit chance of current weapon. Plus min search stats build up. $1,000. Okay. So that is correct. Now I just need the transfer equations. First things first. In terms of melee damage taken is raised from the Riptide stats and okay, so in this case we would set a melee damage bonus. And applicable. Yeah, so right now there isn't really a weapon that's... So you might be saying, chat, okay, what is this, Antomicx? This is... And then the weapons in the demo, there's 4 weapons in the demo. None of them have like a special that like specifically increases damage towards like a particular enemy type or things like that. However, that is like one avenue I might do for at least like maybe a couple specials where it's like against very specific enemies it actually does a lot more damage, and that's where that would come into play. But that's not applicable here. For the most part, we should be able to stick with just this standard idea for an equation. Okay. Also, can we store? We can't. Okay. All right, that needs some rethinking. One second. I realized that the equation can't store a decimal for this. What that means is yeah, in calculation we'll have to account for that. Okay. Not just a work event, Copper Nicholson. No need to get into it here. Just a fun events outside. That's all. Alrighty. I think that'll work. Okay, and then for these, we get rid of the roundup. Actually, 0.5 times that. That still could be useful to round up there. Okay. Melee damage bonus. somewhere is... Alright, it's ceiling. We'll figure out where the missing close bracket is. There, okay. Oh, it's not floor, it's min. Aha! I see. Okay, that is the melee damage bonus calculation. Let's start our business. Okay, that will be done there, so we need to write just the other values in this case. So, need to write all of these values. Excellent, that nice face works. Yeah, alright, now we just need to write the values. So, write values, sets, burn build up to I was saying why I do that 6 times. This will make it easier to add up. Surge. Headwind. Oh. Okie doke. Maybe like 2 or 3. I honestly can't remember. Copper Nicholson. I hardly ever use them now. I used them a lot more when I was younger, but now I mostly just create my own roles, my own role sets and things like that. Let me check something. Critical hit calculation. Oh, that's done differently now. Okay. Okay, these are references at this point. They're going to be moved. But the point of this... The whole point of this section here is to play a sound effect, get the values written, or get the values transferred over that we need to. And also, the only thing I would change is I would set this to Alright, no worries, Copper Nicholson. Thanks for dropping by. Have a good night. Yeah, so we want to move the set the critical hit thing to here, because we have to send that information to, yeah. Critical hit manually. Sent there. The damage bonus. And damage bonus we can probably do it from as well. Yeah, basically we're saying all the variables here, nice and simple. 8 happy little variables. Plus some other multiple flags to make everything else work. Oh, that's awesome, Copper Nixon. Yeah, do nice trust, and best wishes with your job interview. And that's insert a new condition. Wait a minute. Is that the guy we're looking for? Well, that's been what we've been using. Never mind. Okay. Okay, so first we send the values to the intermediate objects, then we do the actual calculations, which are we already calculated if it's a critical hit, that's good. Melee damage bonus. Calculate that already too. Any damage dealt. Okay, so that massive equation is what we need to look at. Total melee damage dealt will equal total melee damage dealt plus all this stuff. Actually, one moment, chat. I actually do need to look up the melee damage dealt here. The damage calculations will provide that information.
Very much alike. Remember all the happy times we had?
Okay.
All right. I'll tell you the truth.
Alright. I have to look this up real quick. Apologies, chat. Yep. Alright, so I'm gonna have to check my array chat real quick, so I'll be right back. Alright, chat. Apologies about that. I realized as I was going through this that there's a little bit more I need to consider with the information I need to get from our equations, and that has to do with the save file array. Unfortunately, the save file array is one of those things that I don't think is best to share on stream because it contains a lot of information about like where certain things are located for retrieving values, and that can lead to lots of glitches and things like that. So it's important to keep that off stream. So what I think I'll do, since I do need to also dab early tomorrow, I think I'll make the stream a bit shorter. I'm just going to write down what information I need to gather from the save file array, like the locations of certain variables, so that I can reference them properly. And then we'll probably have to call it a night there. Yeah. Definitely don't be a bit of a shorter dev stream, but to be fair, that was certainly the intent given that we were streaming Elden Ring earlier today. Actually, hang on. I'm also realizing, where is buildup usually? Oh, it's done on that equation. I see. I'm realizing that I think build-ups don't actually have to be done before the calculations, so I need to rethink the transfer here. Alright, I'm gonna write an action item for us. Action item 1. Oh, no. Two. What I'm describing here, Chad, is that's when a player, if a player has any elemental buildup and they hit an enemy, that buildup should be written into the intermediate object for usages right then and there, and not after the fact. Are conducted. Solution 1. By having this before the test whether So basically the idea of the first solution idea is to add the build up like up somewhere around here on the specific Cobra before we input that information in here. Now my only hesitancy there is that I'm uncertain if the information like written earlier in this line would actually be referenced later in the line. For some reason I have a distinct feeling that that might not be the case. It's just been a while since I've messed around with code that does something like that. So instead, if that doesn't work, that might also be a problem for the critical hit melee thingy. And the melee damage bonus thing, since referencing build-up, it needs to be built out. Put this as action item 2, Move the critical hit damage check. So idea 2 would be to for every line that sets the build up, not to build up values and sure thing, take it as far as I'll be sure to do that after I'm done streaming. Right now I'm just writing some notes for next dev stream, since these calculations are definitely going to take more time to implement, more than like the short amount of time we're having tonight, and that's okay. The important things about this rework is if we get it right, like if we get like really rock solid, then that's going to serve us well constantly long term in terms of development. So that's why I'm spending so much time on this. It's a fundamental part of the gameplay loop it needs to be adjusted anyway. Might as well do it now, and especially since that'll help better with not just the Cobra damage calculations, but just any damage calculations moving forward. I think this will both streamline it a bit as well as make it easier to adjust, and plus it also implements the status effects rework, so that's all very good things. Of the example code. Set, burn, build up. Intermediate damage agents. 2. Val, burn, build up. Cobra. Enemy. Plus burn buildup. After the damage calculations line sets the enemy's buildup to the buildup used in the calculations. Sets Okie doke. All right, action item 1. And 2. Actually, I think I should name these respectively action item 2 and action item 3 because action item 1 is going to be getting all the pertinent player references. Write down the save file array variable locations for the players melee and ranged. Equipped melee and into the table below. C7 dash notes for in the ideas conception V of the subsection IV of the ideas section for the dev stream on. You need this information in order to create the damage calculations on line 1076. See image below. All right. So yeah, so another action item for next dev stream. Again, just get these save file array locations for all this important stuff. Speaking of this important stuff, I want to write out what's necessary. So melee, critical hit chance, melee, critical hit bonus. So each of these are fundamental to damage stuff. I think the easiest thing actually is to insert 2 to the right. Melee variable name. Melee save file location. I'll have a range version 2. Okay. Okay, I think those are the main things that could be impacting damage. If there's been more, those can be written down, but that's... yeah. So, I know we didn't do too much programming on tonight's stream chat, but to be fair, it was a much shorter dev stream, and also, there's a clear path forward for us to go to, so I think that's important. But I'll begin to wrap things up right now. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to stick around for a raid. But if you're watching this on YouTube and you like what you saw, please consider subscribing on YouTube. It's free to subscribe on YouTube. You can always change your mind later, and it's a great way to show support. If you're watching on YouTube, I hope you have an awesome night.